What's up, Hockey Town? Welcome to training camp presented by Huntington Bank. We are here on this beautiful Saturday morning at Center Ice Arena in Traverse City as the Red Wings are playing some drills for day 3 of training camp. I'm joined by the wonderful group of Ken Kal, the People's Announcer, the Renaissance Man, Art Regner, and we'll be joined shortly by Daniella Bruce. What do we call her? The Edge?
The Edge.
The Edge
Edge is downstairs.
The Edge is downstairs ringside, so she'll be joining us in just a few short moments. Wow, I'm already mumbling and jumbling my words. It's been a great morning here at Center Ice Arena. I don't know why I can't talk, but we're looking actually at Team Del Vecchio right now, soon to be joined by Team Howe out on the ice here, West Frank at Center Ice Arena, as I previously mentioned. Well, we're going to bring in Daniella Bruce, as we were mentioning, the Edge. She has some information for us regarding the defensive side of special teams. Daniella?
Well, thank you, Carly. And yesterday we came up with my nickname. I just realized we don't really have your nickname. So that's our project for today, to come up with Carly's nickname. But I was able to talk to the coaching staff this morning, and they told me that yesterday you saw a lot of breakouts and entries on the power play and special teams. And today we're going to see a lot of defensive zone work on the penalty kill. I also asked them if we can read into some of the lines that we're going to see out there, some of the combinations. And I was told that the power play is a little bit more difficult right now. They're going to change things up, and they want to see where players fit in, try them at some different positions. But the penalty kill, we can definitely look at and see, okay, this is something they want to use in the season. This is something they're going to try as we move forward. So definitely keep your eye on the line combinations, but it is still all about structure and foundation today. They want these guys to have a base going into preseason so that they all have a chance to prove themselves. And I think that's really what you're focusing on in training camp, right, guys? You want the foundation, and you want to see what all of these guys have during the preseason.
Exactly, and there are a lot of new additions that we were talking about on yesterday's training camp show presented by Huntington Bank. Ken, Nick Letty being one of them. Daniella, someone just broke their stick out there. We're talking about Nick Letty. He's a puck-moving defenseman. Is he someone that could contribute to this power play and penalty kill, kind of the voids that we have after losing a few of our players that are really key components to the special teams?
Definitely. I think he's going to be a huge component in the power play, especially running that power play, using his speed and skill to enter the zone. Again, we struggled with entries last year. We know that. The Red Wings power play wasn't very good, and Nick Letty's going to change that. We talked to him yesterday. He's excited to work on the power play and bring his skill to this team, and he's also excited to work alongside Mo Seider, I should say. So it's exciting for Nick Letty, and I think he definitely will be a big help, not only in mentoring some of our young guys, but making this power play more successful, which will in turn help the Red Wings be a more successful team.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Daniella. Appreciate it. We'll hear from Daniella later on as she interviews a player, but we were talking about the defensive side of special teams, Ken. What about the offensive side of things? We're regaining Tyler Bertuzzi after a back injury following last season's only 9-game season that we got out of Tyler Bertuzzi, but now hopefully we have a fully healthy Tyler Bertuzzi that can play a full season.
And he was really key last year, I think, early in the season before he went down with injury, Tyler Bertuzzi. And Art made a good point about him scoring, I think, 3 power play goals before he got hurt. And basically, all through the season, he was one of the leading power play guys out there for Detroit.
He tied for the team lead.
Scoring goals. So that doesn't say much about your power play. No. But if you get a healthy Dylan Larkin, you get a healthy Tyler Bertuzzi back there out there on the ice, then hopefully, that power play will go up. And we talked about it yesterday. If the power play goes up to 9% from a year ago, they were at 11.4, whatever it was.
11.4.
And if they get to 20%, you're right in the middle of the pack, and you probably make the playoffs. So special teams are really key, Art.
Well, they certainly are, and I think that's why the Red Wings, when they decided to make a change in the coaching staff, they chose Alex Tangay, who obviously was a great offensive player in his day for the Colorado Avalanche. We remember him, but he played for a few more teams. But he had 863 points, 244 of those on the power play, 62 goals, 182 assists. The last couple of years, he was the head assistant coach at Iowa for the Iowa Wild, the AHL affiliate of the Minnesota Wild, and he turned that power play around. They were second in the league 2 years ago, his first year in the AHL, and then last year I believe he was fifth. It was everything's kind of skewed last year because they only played like 40 games at the most, and they only played 3 or 4 teams. What I was kind of looking forward to, Carley talked about what are we going to see, and obviously they're giving them structure today, and that's what they should do when they're working on these drills. I would be interested to see, and Ken, I really want your thoughts on this, is that tomorrow during the red and white game, which we will be doing, by the way, I believe the live stream begins at 11:30.
Correct.
The game is at noontime. 11:40. Thank you, Mark. You know what? First of all,
wow, we need to halt this show.
Yes.
And gave a major birthday shout out to Mark Milligan, our producer.
Right.
Wow, how did I not start the show with
Happy birthday, Mark.
Happy birthday to Mark.
Yep. Here.
Give him your well wishes.
I've got
in
a
the
pen
comments.
for you. I've got a pen for you. It's been used, but it's nice. But my point being is that I would imagine tomorrow, depending on how they split these teams up, let's say the red team is going to be what they think might be the first power play unit. The white team will be the second power play unit, which will be their first units in the game, and then vice versa for penalty kill. I think that we might see a semblance tomorrow of what they're thinking and where they're going to go and how they're going to start the preseason as far as those units. Today we're seeing a mishmash of players, some slated for Detroit, obviously, some slated maybe for Grand Rapids. So, it's good. Mo Sider's out there right now. Philip Zadina's out there. Giovanni Smith, Bertuzzi, Larkin, Letty. You name it. You're seeing Gus Lindstrom's out there paired with Nick Letty today. So it's pretty. I'm just curious to see how it all plays out. And Zadina's been shooting the puck great this morning. So I think that after these drills, we'll learn a lot more tomorrow, I guess is my point.
Well, the Red Wings are going to play 8 preseason games, and obviously not everyone's going to play in each one of those 8 games. So I guess what you might see is, in just an example, Art and Carley, is that you've got Nick Letty and Mo Sider teaming up for the most part on the blue line. Perhaps they stay together during a couple of those preseason games. And then you might have, Stahl and DeKaiser or what have you. But the point is they all can't play in every game. But what you hope for is you get some instant chemistry right now so that when you do start the season, if the chemistry is there, you can go with them. You can always change the pairings as far as the defensive blue line core goes. But, if you find some chemistry now, it could take you a long way into the early part of the season.
Well, and certainly, and we've talked about the defensive core. 4 left-handed shots, 4 left-handed shots, 4 right-handed shots, 8D. Steve said earlier this week when he addressed the media before training camp started that they're going to carry 8 defensemen at least to start. The left side is veteran heavy, whereas the right side is fairly young, except for Troy Stetcher, and he's all at 27, so he's not that old, but he's a veteran player. That'll be interesting. There's going to be a mentoring ship going on with the left D teaching the right D how the things go. Although Hronek, right-handed defenseman, obviously he's very well established in the league. So I think you're right, Ken. But I do say this: what you will see is most of the guys that are on the cusp are some of these young prospects like a Lucas Raymond, Jonathan Berggren. What you'll see is that I think that Joe Veleno, I think they're going to play a majority of those 8 games. I think that there's going to be a group of guys that they really want to make a decision on, and they will end up playing maybe not all 8, but at least 6, if not 7.
Right. We're seeing the power play and penalty kill out there right now, but as you were talking about some of these on the cusp guys playing a lot of preseason games, I do remember Coach Blashill saying he's hoping to see Joe Veleno out there for all 8 preseason games. So
I told Joe that. I don't know if he was exactly all that excited to hear it.
Well, you told him that after prospects camp when he already still had a week left.
Well, they were down to 8 forwards. I told him after that for the one game where they only had 8 forwards to finish the game.
Poor guy played the whole game.
He said, no sooner did he get back to the bench that Ben Simon was going, "You ready?" And it's like, yeah, I guess,
Let me
maybe I should have told him, right? Yeah, I should. Hey, guess what? You're playing all 8.
So, yeah, I mean, that is definitely a good sample size when you see a lot of these guys that are on the cusp. And I know we saw Joe Veleno playing in the National Hockey League last season. But, we only had a little sample size of him. So we need to see a little bit more of Joe Veleno and some of these young guys before they can really crack the lineup.
And it'll be interesting, as we saw Chase Pearson in the Prospects Tournament. This is a big training camp for him because he wants to make this team. He wants to be a part of the 23-man roster, and he's going to get every opportunity. I would imagine, Art, we'd see him in a lot of preseason games as well.
I think you're right. I think he's slated for he might be slated for 8 too. You're right. Chase Pearson last year matched his point total in Grand Rapids for half the amount of games. It was kind of a come-out year for him. The thing that I've always liked about Chase Pearson, when he was a freshman at the University of Maine, he was an alternate captain. And then his sophomore and junior years, he was captain of the Maine Black Bears, which is a Division I, well-established program. And that goes to show you just the leadership, how he is on and off the ice. That's quite an accomplishment. Anytime you get to wear a letter, but as a true freshman, and then the C as a sophomore and junior, then he turned pro with the Red Wings. But I've always been a big Chase Pearson fan. I know, Ken has. We've alternated his nicknames this camp between Samson and Peach, but he's a really, really interesting player, and he has a legitimate shot at fourth-line center, too, depending on how the preseason goes.
I mean, he had a really good prospects camp. He had a couple goals and a couple assists, so it was really good to see him get out there and be able to capitalize on the opportunity he was given in prospects camp with the minutes that he had in each game.
Carly, I just had a chance to see Bertuzzi on a partial breakaway coming in. Our folks just saw it on the stream. And, Sider made a smart move for a young guy. Instead of trying to hook him or, try to maybe draw a penalty, he put his stick between his skates and just tapped his skates. And actually it bothered Bertuzzi enough where he didn't get a shot on goal. So, he's a really cerebral player, Mo Sider. And
no doubt.
He knows a lot of tricks for being a youngster out there. And that was a good play defensively.
Well,
Smart beyond his years.
Go back 2 years ago to prospects tournament. He was playing, we were keeping unofficial statistics, like 35 minutes a game in the prospects tournament, a tournament that the Red Wings prospects won. But he showed right there that he has endurance and he's a very, very smart player. And again, and I know I keep harping on this, but for me, the number one attribute, if you want to be a Detroit Red Wing, or if they're talking to you and you're a prospect, or you're looking at the draft, or maybe Detroit's going to draft me, is high hockey IQ. You've got to be able to think the game. For years I've talked to Red Wing officials about it, and they think if you understand the game, anticipate the game, and know the game very, very well, you have a passion for it, and then you're also able, the rest of the things will just come almost naturally to you because you, in a sense, almost already have it figured out.
Well, he's almost the total package with the size, the hockey IQ, and just being a skilled player out on the ice. I mean, we see a young player like this who's playing like a veteran. I mean, that's really nice to have in the Detroit Red Wings organization. And we know in Germany and even in the SHL, he's a boy playing amongst men, but he looks like a man out there.
Certainly does. And, he's got a lot of poise for youngster Mo Sider. And we were just taking a look at Mitchell Stevens out there. Had a good look at him on camera. And Stevens is a guy like Chase Pearson that the Red Wings, I think, are counting on for that maybe fourth-line center ice position.
Right. Mitchell Stevens, a right-handed shot. Tampa Bay Lightning, so he has a good pedigree. He made the team last year but got hurt. He's chipped in some playoff games for Tampa, chipped in some goals. I mean, this is a guy, as I said, talking to Jamie Pusher, who's a high-ranking official with the Tampa Bay Lightning a little over a week ago now. It was during the prospects tournament. He told me that what Mitchell Stevens needs, because he has all the tools, is a shot of confidence. I think, a change of scenery. Tampa's loaded, as we know. They have a huge forward core. I would say that, Mitchell Stevens has a really good opportunity here, knows that has to be a boost of confidence. So I'm really eager to see what he does during the preseason as well.
Well, this is someone that Steve knows, Mitchell Stevens. So if he's bringing him from Tampa to Detroit, which we've seen him do with a lot of players, Adam Ernie, for example.
Right. These
are guys that sometimes when they come over, like Adam Ernie's first year, we were all like, we were a little curious about that move, but then last season we were like, okay, Steve, I get it. He is a breakout player. He just need to have that season. So I'm wondering if Mitchell Stevens will come out guns a-blazing and be able to really start hot, or if it's going to take him a little bit to kind of get his feet under him, and if he will center that fourth line.
Well, it's interesting because he's out there right now talking with Rowney, and Rowney was a guy that had some good seasons with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I believe he spent the last 3 with Anaheim.
Right.
But, he's a proven NHL player, and that's what I like about veterans, too, and Steve Eisman brought him in here, is that, Rowney's the kind of guy that's not going to hurt you out there. He knows how to play the game. He's been playing with terrific players in his whole career, and he's a guy that adds depth, I think, to your lineup art.
Right, exactly. And I really do think the fourth line is going to be a grinding, checking kind of line, and they won't be provided. any offense you get is going to be great, and and then certainly they're going to be out there trying to score goals. But I think that's going to be more of a checking line. You're going to have a good center, a fourth line center who can win some faceoffs, and I do think that they'll also be some of your fourth liners are going to be your penalty killers. And in the case of Adam Ernie, and I think one of the reasons why his season turned around last year, Ernie's season, was because he was on the power play. He was able to get some confidence. He did score some power play goals, and Ernie said during the offseason, talking to Adam, that he always played the power play until his first year here in Detroit. He didn't play it last year. He did play it, and he turned his offensive numbers around.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Ernie is someone that was my MVP last season. I mean, he had a breakout season. You see a guy who has these spurts where he's scoring nonstop and he's getting streaky. And I hope that's what we see out of Adam Ernie again. But how do you think Mitchell Stevens would complement Adam Ernie and vice versa?
Well, I think if they play together, they on the same line, they could have a lot of interesting times together. I think they will mesh well. And this is where it all starts right here. So you start playing together, and you can play in some exhibition games. And again, it's all about that cohesiveness and playing together as a team and as a unit. And the more you play together, the more you know each other. And it's one of those things where you don't have to look to see where the guy is. You know
right.
exactly where he's at when you make that first pass over to him.
You know a style of play in art. So if we're building that fourth line right now, we're going to build it with Adam Ernie, Mitchell Stevens, and who?
I would say Giovanni Smith.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have Giovanni Smith in the lineup. First of all, I think he has more offensive upside and offensive skill than he's given credit for, and and he can mix it up. Giovanni isn't afraid to mix it up, and this is a tough league. It's the best league in the world. It's a very, very physical league, and you need somebody out there who. I'm not going to say protect his teammates because they're all tough. They're professional hockey players in the NHL. But you need somebody who has a watchful eye, shall we say, on the opposition and make sure they're not taking any liberties with the Red Wings. And Giovanni Smith is that guy.
Absolutely. And we like to see the gritty players who can also score on that fourth line because that's what we had with the fourth line, last season with Adam Ernie, Luke Glendening, and Darren Helm.
Right. Exactly. And, and Helm and Glendening knew each other very, very well, being teammates for several seasons. Interesting, we're seeing Giovanni here. He's doing a little bit of a tip drill. And, Ken, I think you saw him a couple of days ago. He's pretty darn good tipping that puck into the net.
Well, he is. And, again, does he get some power play time, too? If you're pretty good at tipping the puck like Thomas Holmstrom was, maybe he gets, and he's a big body up front. Red Wings need that net front presence. Maybe he's on your second power play unit.
That could very well be. I think that he's going to get every kind of opportunity. Number one, fans love him, and they love him because he drops the gloves, and he really does take care of business and take care of himself. Number two, I just think that he has worked his tail off. Giovanni Smith, since the time he was 16 years old, has come up with a workout regimen that he follows every summer. And he modifies it obviously a bit as his body begins to mature and age and he gets bigger. But, this is a guy that works nonstop, morning, noon, and night. He's one of our player bloggers on DetroitRedWings.com, and he is constantly working on his game. His brother is an NHL player too, and they kind of work out together. But every time I talk to Giovanni, it's like, hey, can you do a blog? And it's like, well, let me look at my schedule. And virtually, it's just loaded with workout.
His blog right now. His player blog.
It's Pete Scorch's favorite, so I have to talk about the blog.
Right. Well, Giovanni Smith, he's going to be someone we'll likely see for a few preseason games. Speaking of preseason, it's right around the corner. Thursday, September 30th. The Red Wings take on Buffalo at LCA, Little Caesars Arena. Additional preseason games against the Columbus Blue Jackets, Pittsburgh Penguins, and Chicago Blackhawks are on sale now, but I do want to let you guys know we will be streaming that first preseason game. We're not stopping at training camp presented by Huntington Bank. We are going to keep streaming through the preseason. How exciting is that? So that's going to be on DetroitRedWings.com, as I said. And for more information, you can also go to DetroitRedWings.com for your tickets. I do want to note, Daniella just texted me, and I know the Detroit Red Wings tweeted this out earlier, that Jacob Rana is here, and we haven't mentioned that yet. So a dynamic player who can really help out on the power play, but so happy he's here. He had some visa issues getting over here, but he's dressed, and Daniella said he just walked by to go to David's rink. So I'm wondering if that means he's on Team How, but hopefully we'll see him here soon in West Rink.
What I really like about Verana is he came in that trade, and he paid instant dividends, kind of like Robbie Fabry when he came over from St. Louis. And Verana's a finisher. He really is. When he gets an opportunity, it seems like 8 times out of 10 he's going to bury that puck. And we saw some explosive plays from him, breakaways last year, and he can score on any goaltender in the National Hockey League. And we all talked about the Red Wings offensively. They need to pick it up. They need some goal scoring. And as you mentioned, Art and Carley, about Zadina, he's been really shooting the puck well here the last couple of days. Obviously, it's not in a preseason game, but we're hoping that he can find that scoring touch a little more. And also a guy on the power play, because we're talking about special teams, and we didn't really talk about him, is Michael Rasmussen.
Right, exactly.
This guy was a power play specialist goal scorer in junior, and hopefully that carries in. Now he's bigger, he's stronger, he's got some years under his belt, and he can maybe be that net front presence guy that can park himself in the slot in front of the net and either tip in or shoot in a couple of power play goals.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, I've told this story when development camp, the last year development camp was up here in Traverse City. That was for the rookies that they all drafted. Down on what would be our left side here in this very rink, Michael Rasmussen did a tip drill. The goaltender at the time was Keith Petruzzelli. They were drafted in the same draft class, 2017. And I can remember, and I was sitting there counting, and I don't know if it was Dan Watson, the head coach at Toledo Walleye, or Todd Nelson, the coach at Grand Rapids, but they were shooting pucks. And I counted, out of the 100 shots, he tipped 99 of them in.
Wow.
Past Petruzzelli, who is not, was really coming off a great season with the Muskegon Lumberjacks. So it was very, very impressive. Michael is a big kid. He's always telling me he's 6'6". I swear to God, he's bigger than that. But he also has a huge reach, and I really think he uses that to his advantage. So Ken's absolutely right. I think Rasmussen is slated for at least second team net front presence, and we'll see how, because he is hand-eye coordination for a man that size is extraordinary. I would be stunned if he's not on the power play. And I want to say this about Jacob Verana. Ken breaks up a good point. Jeff Blashill said about him that some guys need a lot of shots to score.
Yeah.
Verana's not one of those guys. He can score every time. So that's really, really interesting. And I would imagine with him missing some time, maybe he is on Team Howe, Dalvecchio, and Lindsay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's true. Just to kind of get his legs warm a little bit after being on the plane for, I'm sure, 15 hours?
Yeah.
We're getting a good look at Tutayev here, and he really had a good prospects tournament. We had a chance to watch him play, scored a couple of goals in one hockey game. That's him right there, number 79. And I really liked the way he played, and I think he impressed and opened up a lot of eyes as far as the coaching staff for Detroit. Not afraid to get in front of the net or go to the net, and he also wins puck battles in the corner for not being a very tall guy or a big guy. He likes to battle for the puck in the corners, and I think if you're a hockey player and you're trying to make a team, you have to find a way to try and make the team. Those puck battles, winning in the corner, if you can go out there and come away with the puck and find your teammates and set them up, that is really a good skill to have.
Right, and he's not the biggest guy in the world. He's not quite as small as he was listed when they drafted him. I think they had him at 35 pounds and, 5'11" or something. We were like, whoa, it was a misprint, obviously. But, he's bigger than I thought. And you're absolutely right. I go back to what Henrik Zetterberg told me many, many years ago. When he was growing up in Sweden, his growth spurt didn't start until later in life. And he had to figure out a way to go into the corners, get the puck without getting hit, and then coming out and feeding the puck. And, and Tutayev seems to be that kind of guy. And you're absolutely right. When you're, quote unquote, on the smaller side, you have to figure it out, and you have to have an extraordinary skill set, because unfortunately bigger guys get preference if you're smaller and you are a great player, but you don't have one specific thing you do extremely well. Tutayev seems to have worked on his complete game and seems to be able to do everything completely well. He will be another guy, I would assume, slated maybe for Grand Rapids, but we're going to see him a lot in the preseason.
An all-around player, Ken.
I like his soft hands, too, and we've seen him right there as he was coming in on goal. He can really move the puck. He's got really good hands, good vision out there on the ice, highly skilled.
Yeah, and it's funny. I know either Art or Ken, I think maybe it was Art, brought up in Prospects Camp that he's actually from the same hometown that Pavel Datsyuk is from. And we see a little bit of that fancy stick work. I love this. We see some of that fancy stick work that we saw out of the Magic Man. Maybe he'll be the Magic Man Jr.
Well, that's a tough task right there because Datsyuk was unbelievable.
Hey, fingers crossed.
He was one of the best of the best. If he can be half as good as Pavel Datsyuk, then he'd be good. But he was impressive. And, again, it's a long season, right? And he has a lot to prove to Tutayev. They'll see him a lot in some of the preseason games, I'm sure, and he'll be evaluated.
Well, and where he played in Belarus and some of the leagues he played in, he put up extraordinary numbers. His numbers were so extraordinary that you had to take a chance on him. I can't remember what team it was, but the year that they drafted him, I believe he played like 30-some-odd games and had 114 points. Seventh-round pick, why not? Why didn't you take that chance? But here is a guy who has gotten better. He's gotten in better leagues, but he's still almost a point-a-game type of player, and he wanted to come here. He wanted to come to North America, and the Red Wings are giving him his shot, and why not? I mean, that he could be, Ken's heard me say this ad nauseum over the decades now. The Red Wings need to catch a break or two on a player.
Yeah.
Maybe Tutayev is one of those players.
And we see over here on the other end of the ice, Seider and Raymond helping each other out. It was Raymond passing to Seider, working on his clapper, but now it looks that they switched spots, and now Raymond's working on getting that slap shot down. But these are two dynamic young players in the organization. Both played in the SHL at some point, so it's great to see them kind of working together and helping each other out.
We didn't see Mo Seider in the Prospects tournament, but we did see Jonathan Berggren and Lucas Raymond, and they seem to have a pretty good combination going. And Berggren with a nice pass in one of those Prospect games over to Raymond was at the left circle, and that's where he was practicing just moments ago as he was shooting the puck in. And Raymond, for a young guy, he just seems like he has a lot of poise. He knows what to do, where to go, find the open ice in the offensive zone. And that's something that you really can't teach players. That's something that you either have or you don't have.
Yeah.
And it's hard to teach if you try to teach somebody. But if you have that skill that Raymond has, he's going to be successful in the National Hockey League.
We just saw Moritz Seider make 6 out of 7 shots nearly at the blue line. So he has a nice slap shot. I mean, he's netting puck after puck, Art.
Well, he definitely is. A hard, accurate shot. The one thing I like about Lucas Raymond is that, obviously Mo's the number 1 pick, 6th overall in 2019. Raymond is the number 1 pick in 2020, 4th overall. And they're showing why they were drafted so high. But the one thing that about Lucas Raymond, when he was drafted, Steve Yzerman said, and I am quoting him here, he has the opportunity to be an elite level forward, an elite level forward in this league. Steve is not effusive in praise. That's quite a statement for Steve Yzerman to make about Lucas Raymond.
Speaking about elite forwards in the league, we're going to head on down to Daniella Bruce, who is standing by with Sam Gagne. Daniella?
I'm now joined by Red Wings forward Sam Gagne. Sam, it's great to see you back in Traverse City. I'm sure you're happy to be back.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I think, it's felt like a long summer, and we're excited to get back and get going, and camp's been fun thus far.
And the past couple of days, we've seen a lot of work on the penalty kill and the power play, something that the Red Wings really struggled with last season. I'd imagine the improvement starts here at training camp. What have you been focusing on personally?
Yeah, it's really important. I think towards the end of last year, we started to really defend well. Offensively, we weren't where we wanted to be, and a lot of that, was through the power play and special teams. And, our penalty kill improved greatly last year, and it helped us win games late. So that's going to be really important for us going forward, is establishing that special teams. And I think camp is the way to start it off on the right foot. And I think we're doing the right things and hopefully keep building.
Being a veteran on this team now, you're seeing a lot of the young prospects come through. Lucas Raymond is here for the first time, his first NHL training camp, and then you've got Moritz Seider here too. What has it been like to see these young talents that I'm sure you're excited to play with as well?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, they've got a lot of skill. They're humble. They work hard. So it's been fun to get to know them and get on the ice with them. And they're looking great so far. And I'm sure they're going to continue to build.
And give me, just to wrap this up, your personal goals heading into a new season.
Yeah, I want to continue to grow with this group. I mean, it's nice to be back on the same team a few years in a row now. And I feel like from a leadership standpoint, from an on-ice standpoint, you just grow into your role and get more comfortable. And I feel excited about the year and ready to go.
Well, thank you, Sam. We'll see you in Detroit. Enjoy the rest of camp.
Thank you.
Awesome, Daniella. Thank you so much. Alongside Sam Gagne there. Great extension to have him back in a winged wheel sweater. He's definitely going to help out. Like we said, we have a young core, so it's really important to have these veterans in the locker room and out on the ice.
Carley, you're right, and you can't have all youngsters. You can't win the National Hockey League, but you need the veterans to really teach these guys not only what to do on the ice, but off the ice and act as a pro, and Sam Gagne is certainly a pro in the National Hockey League.
Right, certainly. Sam Gagne, very high draft pick in his draft here, too. I mean, so he knows the pressures that come with being selected, in the first round and in the top 10. I can't remember. Gagne was high, off the top, maybe 5th, 6th overall, perhaps. But what I'm really looking forward to is let's play some hockey, and it begins tomorrow at noontime, the red and white game. We're going to see this Red Wing club go after. Now, they're going after each other.
Yeah.
But, maybe there's some animosity that's been building up over the last couple of days. Who knows?
A little inter-squad scrimmage, excuse me.
That's
Coverage will start where you are right now on Detroit Red Wings YouTube, Facebook, or website. So make sure to join us at 11:40 as we start covering that game that will begin at 12, that red and white game. So really excited to have you guys back. And, of course, make sure that you guys are getting your tickets for preseason because we're so excited to have you back at Little Caesars Arena. And if not, make sure you watch the first preseason game at home September 30th against Buffalo on DetroitRedWings.com. We're here to support you and give you guys all the hockey coverage. We will be back again tomorrow at 11:40 on DetroitRedWings.com, YouTube, and Facebook pages. Thank you so much for joining us for the Detroit Red Wings training camp presented by Huntington Bank. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's go Red Wings.